accumulate assets, and create generational wealth. That's what it's about. I'm EB from Compton, Dumb Diddy Dumb City, where I'm from, and let's get into it. Happy Saturday, everybody. Sabado. This is Saturday according to the calendars, Jewish Jewish calendar, the Hebrew calendar, even the Islamic calendar, Seventh Day Adventists, Jehovah Witnesses. Hey, it is what it is. Today is the Sabbath. It's the Sabbath day, and I want to talk about on the Sabbath day saving your property, saving your assets, because you guys know my history. I come from a history of doing real estate appraisals for quite a while, and when I was doing those appraisals, I was realizing that the property loss to county probate is tremendous. And I'm going to say this, that the counties all over the world, well, I know in the United States, I don't know about these other countries and how they do it, but all over the United States, every county has amassed so much wealth from the ignorance or the lack of information, I want to say, of the people. Because from my vantage point, this should be taught in school. All this stuff, some of the stuff we learn in school, we don't have no use for it. I mean, I was sitting down talking to my sister-in-law last night, and we were talking about some of the mathematical stuff, the equations that they give us. We won't ever use unless we're going to become an engineer or a scientist or astronaut or something, or doctor. But there's some practical things that we're not being taught that the majority of us will need in life, like probate. Why are we not taught about probate? And I know why we're not taught, because this is something that slides by. And generations and generations and generations have lost huge amounts of wealth, because the greatest way to, or the easiest way, or I would say the most primary way that people have accumulated wealth is real estate. So I'm going to get straight down to the point. I'm not going to procrastinate. In the Bible, it says that the people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. It actually says my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. But then I hear a lot of scriptures. I hear a lot of preachers quote that scripture. I hear a lot of pastors and bishops quote that scripture. But the verse right underneath it says that it says that my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. And it says because they don't listen to the knowledge when it comes to them. That's basically what it said. The scripture right up underneath it basically says it's because you don't pay attention and you don't listen to it when it does come to you. So I'm gonna put this out here. I did this video probably about 6 or 7 years ago. I did a video. I've probably got about 500 or 600 videos I've done, but I did a video on probate. I did a video and taught the people how to save their properties from probate. And I watched the video after I filmed it. I was at Manhattan Beach. I was running. I was feeling good. I said, okay, I'm going to give the people a nugget. Something that you're not being taught. Something that we all need to know. Something that counties and cities around the United States are amassing trillions of dollars of wealth that they have snatched away from the people. And I gave you the knowledge, and it disappeared. And I was like, wow, all the videos I've done, how does video just disappear? They don't want you to know this, because what I'm getting ready to tell you is going to disrupt counties. But it's going to empower you if you take it and run with it. And I'm going to give it to you for free. This is something they don't want you to know. Okay. Now, as you see, I'm from Compton. I'm proud to be from Compton. There used to be a time when people wasn't proud to be from Compton, because Compton, has been very drug infested, gang infested for years. But there's a scripture in the Bible. And I'm not a preacher or nothing, but a lot of us respect the Bible, and I've read the Bible several times, and I grew up in the church like most of us. And I want to share this scripture. It says that Can any good come out of Nazareth? That they was talking about Jesus, and some of the people in that day and age were kind of mocking Nazareth. I guess Nazareth was the hood. Nazareth must have been the ghetto, because it was like, he's from Nazareth. Well, can any good come out of there? Like, hey, can any good come out of Compton? That's how people feel. Like, they used to feel like, man, Compton, you from Compton. I remember I used to tell people that, and they used to be like, whoa, he from Compton. And, they would stay away from me, But, yeah, good can come out of Compton. And I'm going to give you some good right now, some good value. Some value that you never would think come out of Compton, okay? This is the kind of value that wealthy people get, this information, okay? So they spread this in their circles or their homes or their families. But this is what I'm going to talk about. Probate. This, for me, is a huge, huge problem in the Black community, in the Hispanic community, and even in the average white community. Probate, for me, is a huge, huge problem. As a real estate appraiser, somebody who appraised properties for years, I cannot express to you guys how many Latinos, how many Blacks, how many poor whites or average white people who have lost their homes to probate. Something we're not taught in school. We need to be taught this. And again, you guys, the Family Cash Machine, this is something that we came up with, me and my team, as a representation of generational wealth. And how do we accumulate generational wealth? Well, I'm going to talk just a little bit about real estate today, because this is one of the number one ways that wealth has been generated. Now, when you get a property, when you buy a house or a condo, the property most likely is going to be in your name because you assumed a loan from a bank. So the job of the loan of the banks and the financial institutions, and according to the Truth and Lender Act, is they have to record on the deed all financial activities. And they have to record this deed in the county that property resides in. Okay? So most likely, because you assumed a loan from the bank, your name is on the deed. That bank lien, they got a lien also recorded on that deed. But what they don't teach you is, as soon as you get that loan closed, you should open up a corporation for $400. You can go to LegalZoom, set up a corporation, or a trust fund, which is beneficial to your family. And both of these two entities, you can do either one. You can do a corporation, LLC, or you can do a trust fund. Get the property out of your name immediately. Nobody's telling you this because you think, the loan is in my name, it has to stay in my name. No, it doesn't. Once you get the title, you can quit claim anyone on the title that you want. You can quit claim it to your son, your brother, which I would advise to quit claim it to anybody. But you can quit claim it over to a corporation or a trust, family trust that you own. I'm going to tell you why you want to do that. Because what happens with all these properties that are in your name, I've done this, I can't tell you, at least 300 or 400 times I've seen this, to where the mom or the patriarch or the matriarch of the family, the grandpa, the grandfather, or whoever dies, and the property's in their name, and the siblings cannot possess that property. They can stay in the property, or, they can, but the deed goes into probate immediately. What is probate? Probate is normal. It's basically what happens in the United States, all over the United States in every county. So we think it's normal, but it is normal activity for counties, but it's not beneficial for you. I'm going to tell you why. Once it goes into probate, I'm going to use $1 million as an example, so an even round number. Okay, so let's say the property's worth $1 million and it goes into probate. The mother and father owns the property, but because it's in somebody's name, if it's in anybody's name with your social security connected to it, it automatically goes into probate. So once it goes into probate, the county, you can't refi the property, you can't sell the property right away, nothing. They grab it and they want 30% of the value of that property. They're charging you for to transfer the title. They're charging you for probate taxes and death taxes. Death taxes. Yes, they're charging you for death taxes. To die, you got to pay taxes when your property goes into probate. So that's 30%. Then usually you need attorneys to negotiate this. You probably can't do probate by yourself. You will need attorneys to work this out with the county and get all the stuff paid off, the probate tax, the this tax, that tax, the death tax, all this stuff, different taxes, property tax, all this stuff has to be paid. When the property's in somebody's name, it get confiscated in the probate. It goes through probate court. Sometimes this can be a year and a half, a year, and this denies the siblings or the heirs to the particular individuals that died. They can't even receive the property yet. So attorneys, they want about 30%. So again, back to that $1 million. Let's say the property is worth $1 million and it's paid for. And the person's whose name is on the title dies. The county grabs it. They take 30%. You got to get your attorneys involved. That's 30%. That's 60% of the value gone. Most families don't have that money to pay. So they end up selling the properties. So when they sell the property, okay, county gets theirs, attorneys gets theirs, and you get your 30%. And you're robbed of 60% of the wealth. This your birthright from your mother or father or grandparents or whoever left you that property. You're robbed of your inheritance because of probate. That can be remedied by a simple $400 corporation or a $400 trust fund. All that goes away. Example, if the property was in a trust fund, and I've seen this a bunch of times too, where the property wasn't in the trust fund and went to probate, and then one of the siblings cheated the other siblings out of their inheritance because one of the siblings sold the property, got all the money, and did not share with the other siblings and basically robbed them from their birthright. So if it's in a trust, you actually avoid that too. So once you put it in a trust, you can simply create a trust for $400 or $500 on LegalZoom. You can do it, have it in 2 weeks. Then you take that trust or a corporation, you go to the county records, go to the local county, and you record the deed into that trust or that corporation. Get it out your name. I'm giving you guys some real game here, okay? This is what the wealthy people do. I've appraised a lot of properties for wealthy people, and this is what they do. They don't have anything in their name for this reason. So you want to get it out of your name, put it in a trust, or put it in a corporation, but you own the corporation. You own the trust. It's just not in your name, okay? I'm giving you some major, this is major, okay? Just follow me now, follow me. Pay attention to this process. So you put the property, you quit claim your deed over to the trust. You are the executive of the trust. And let's say you got 3 kids, 3 children. Give each one of your children 33 1/3%. So that way, if you guys pass and you die, none of the siblings can cheat the other siblings out of their shares. They all got equal amount. It's nothing to argue about. But guess what else? It doesn't go into probate. So that's 30% of the property's value saved. Guess what? You don't have to pay attorneys. That's another 30% of the property saved. They have the full possession of that property. The transference of that property doesn't happen. You don't have to transfer anything. Everything's already in a trust. No fees on that. When somebody dies, nothing really happens, but the real rightful owners, the heirs to it, which is your children, they just take possession of the property without any hassles, without any taxes, without any probates, without any attorneys, without no death tax, none of that. Wow, that's real game. And this is why we are not taught. We think everything got to be in our name. And the most damaging thing you can do financially is to have things in your name. Who cares what name your house is in? You live in it. You own it. You can sell it. You can refi it. It's yours. But it's not beneficial to have it in your name. I'm telling you, it's just not. Now, whenever you set up a trust fund, please stay away from doing the obvious things that most people do. If your name is John Johnson and your wife is Kathy Johnson, don't name the trust John and Kathy Johnson's family trust. Don't do that. That is not good to do, in my opinion. Stay away from doing that, because even though if you did use your name as a trust, it's still a trust, it's still protected. But I wouldn't do that because it's nobody's business who owns your property. So if you come up with your own name, like the Oxford Trust, come up with the Millennium Trust Fund. I mean, nobody knows that you are the executive of that trust. That's the whole purpose of a trust: is an anonymity, protection, privacy from not just lawsuits but probate taxes. Now let's revisit this. Imagine if your great grandfather had this information. Now there are families who have this information, and they don't put properties in their name. So what happens is, when the great grandfather dies and he had 2 or 3 properties, he leaves 2 or 3 properties to the grandson. The grandson has 4 or 5 properties in his lifetime. You see where I'm going with this? So by the time it gets to you and you're born, your family already owns 20 or 30 properties that they didn't lose to probate. This is how you accumulate generational wealth, by structuring it in a asset manner of a trust or a corporation. Even a corporation, if you just get an LLC and take your property out your name, put it in the LLC, you okay. But to keep it in your name is the worst thing you can do, because again, I've seen, at least 300 or 400 properties lost to probate, and the family got to start all over again. The next generation start all over again. Next generation start all over again, when we're not amassing and accumulating wealth. We're not accumulating it because we're not understanding how to structure it right. And so just imagine how much trillions of dollars these counties are making. They're not teaching this in school, because judges are part of their pensions, and their retirement pensions is tied into probates. So they're not going to tell you, because this is part of their security when they retire. And then the counties, by accumulating all these properties and getting 30% from every property in their county, because just the lack of knowledge from the people, they're not going to tell you nothing. They're going to make that be taught in schools. So I think that we need to take the initiative to get everything out of our name. Now, I had a friend of mine, a young lady who I knew, who I was doing a lot of business with. She had 1 son, and I told her, look, your house is almost paid for. You should put your house in a trust. And me and her talked about it extensively, and then she finally went and put her house in a trust. When she went to the Los Angeles County, down there in Norwalk, to put the house in a trust, because there's so few people to do this, the lady that worked at the county record said, you can't do this. You can't put you have to keep the property in your name. And I told the girl to put me on the phone with the lady, and I got on the phone with her, and I said, what are you talking about? I'm a real estate appraiser, and you can quick claim your property over to anybody you want. You can quick claim it over to a friend if you want. I don't advise that, but you can quick claim it over to a trust fund or a corporation. Why? Because these entities have their own tax ID numbers. They got a 9-digit number, just like a human being, which is a tax number that they're pretty much looked at and treated as an individual when it comes to money. So the lady wasn't used to that. She had never had that. The whole time she worked for the county, she hadn't had anybody put a property in a trust, obviously, because she had nothing to do. She had no knowledge of it. But this is something that you want to do. It will protect you. I've seen a lot of elderly people that I've helped them put their homes in trust, and sometimes they accumulate medical bills when they get older, and these medical bills will attach to your property, and they'll attach liens to your property, and when the elderly die, then these liens take effect, and again, the natural heirs to this property, the children, the siblings, don't get their wealth. They don't get what's just coming to them because of some bills that was attached to the property from the elderly. So this can all be remedied again by putting the property, taking it out your name, and putting it in a trust. They can't slap a lien on it if you're not the sole owner of that property. So there's so many different benefits. I can't even go into all of them, but I'm just telling you guys, when I put this video out, last time I did this video, it vanished. And I don't think that was no mistake that it vanished off the YouTube, because I think I'm pretty good with putting videos up. I did over 400. I think I know how to put a video up. And not only did do video, I watched the video to make sure it was clear of everybody knew what they were doing, and it just vanished. It vanished in about 20, 30 minutes. I didn't know what happened to it. It was just off the air. So again, you guys, this video is to help you to understand the accumulation of real estate and how to not fall into the pitfalls of probate, which is a huge disruption in creating generational wealth, a huge disruption in basically confiscating the birthright of individuals whose families worked their behind off to get these properties, paid these properties mortgages for 30 years, 40 years sometimes. And then they get screwed at the end, all because they didn't understand how to structure. So I'm telling you guys, take advantage of this information. Don't just listen to this video and say, okay, I'll get to it and procrastinate. Because if something happens to whoever owns that property and it's still in somebody's name, you lose. There's no room for mistakes. You work too hard for your properties. You put too much money. You pay too much interest for a property over 30 years to lose it over some red tape, and you could have remedied for $200, $300, $400 for a corporation, $300, $400 for a trust fund. You don't have to be wealthy to have a trust fund. It's just a piece of paper. It's a piece of paper that has its own tax ID number. It's an entity of its own that you own, but take it out your name. That's the game. That's a valuable piece of information that the average people don't get. So with that, I'm going to see you guys on the next video. Take advantage of that information. Move on it quick. Get your property out your name. Put it in a corporation, LLC, whatever. Take it out your name. Quick claim your deed over to whatever entity you want. I would suggest a family trust fund. I would suggest to put all your children in that trust. I would suggest to make yourself the executive of state of that trust. And then you put in order underneath you who you feel is best qualified. But you separate all of the shares of that trust to your children. So there's no arguing. Nobody can screw anybody out of nothing. And the property stays in the family for generations and generations. And you keep accumulating more properties. And if you got 3 generations of working people in your family and not wealthy people, just normal people, to keep accumulating properties over generations, eventually your family is going to be wealthy. Straight up. So with that, I'm going to sign out. This is EB. Deuces.